Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Jessica, and today we're diving into the lore of a creature that's pretty iconic to the hobby, and that's the beholder. Adventurer beware, because these creatures are quite cunning and brutal. Beholders are lawful evil aberrations that are brilliant thinkers and clever strategists. They desire the extinction of all species but themselves and those they can manipulate to increase their power and influence. As a species, beholders are arrogant creatures. Each individual believes itself the center of the world and that it's more perfect than any other, especially when it comes to non-beholders. This often leads to bickering and fights if or when beholders come together, as these animosities tend to end in superiority blood feuds. The mind of a beholder is so powerful that it can envision literally any possibility. This makes it virtually impossible for any invaders to catch it unawares, as it's already prepared accordingly. This way of thinking can be seen as a form of paranoia because their attitudes are one of eternal vigilance. They are always alert to possible assassinations or betrayal by unknown threats. When a beholder rests, it never truly sleeps. Its mind remains semi-conscious even as it dreams. In fact, beholders are among the few creatures that can shape reality in their vicinity. For example, on rare occasions a beholder may dream of another beholder. The dream reality becomes warped and actually creates another beholder. Thankfully for everyone else, the new and old beholder end up fighting to the death. All beholders possess a magical organ called the levator magnus in the center of their bodies. This organ is surrounded by the creature's brain and is what gives them their ability to float in the air. No magical spell or device can negate this levitation, but a beholder is powerless to the push of great winds. The majority of beholders choose to layer underground or move about in desolate, windless areas because of this. While all beholders are spherical in shape and are roughly the same height as an average man, many display variations. Each beholder believes its form is the perfect one, and that any deviation by others is a flaw in the purity of their kind. Some beholders have smooth skin, while others have pitted, scaled, wrinkled, pebbled, or warty skin. Some are even covered in hard plates of chitin which overlap to protect internal organs. Eye color will vary, and skin colors can range from brown to brown yellow to gray, green, pinkish, or to even purple blue. Their features include 10 eye stalks and one large central eye on their body. Some beholders have eye stalks that writhe like tentacles, while others have stalks that are more rigid and feature crustacean-like joints. Each eye stalk has limited maneuverability and field of vision, but each possesses the power to instantly and at will create various spell-like powers. These powers include the following 10 rays: charm, paralyzing, fear, slowing, enervation, telekinetic, sleep, petrification, disintegration, and death. The beholder's large central eye acts as an anti-magic cone that extends out 150 feet. The anti-magic ray negates the use of all spells, whether cast from a device or the mind and hands, and even negates the beholder's own eye stalk rays. According to beholder lore, the lesser races invented spellcasting to mimic the inherent magical abilities that beholders possess. Of course, beholders view this spellcasting as a pale imitation of their true magical ability. But because spellcasting can produce a wide range of effects that the beholder cannot master, they do find it a useful extension to their own abilities. Additionally, beholders often use their telekinesis ability to manipulate objects, including placing magical rings on their eye stalks, donning and doffing armor that they secure with straps, and placing staffs and wands in their mouths. Beholders are omnivores who, given the opportunity, seem to be able to gorge themselves endlessly. They may consume plant matter and small amounts of gravel to aid in digestion, but they vastly prefer raw meat, specifically that of horses, cattle, and humanoids. Any undigestible items are spit out. To avoid competition and ensure they have enough food to eat, most beholders spread out and live away from others of their own kind. As a result, their territories often end up in abandoned ruins, deep caverns, or other remote or inhospitable locations. A beholder carves out its subterranean layer using its disintegration eye ray, emphasizing vertical passages connecting chambers stacked on top of each other. Each passage that connects chambers are barely big enough for the beholder to fit through to prevent large creatures from assailing the layer. The central layer is typically large and spacious, which allows the beholder to attack from above without fear of closing to melee range. Most beholder layers include a sanctum, the beholder's private chambers, escape tunnels, traps, a prison, a central gallery and trophy room where most of the beholder's treasures are displayed, minion chambers, secret passageways used for reconnaissance or surprise attacks, and a vestibule. Within its lair, a beholder manifests its arrogance by adorning the various chambers with its trophies, including treasure, won magic items, petrified adventurers, and even pieces of other beholders. A beholder judges its own worth by its acquisitions and will never willingly part with them. A beholder divides its treasure into 5 groups. How a beholder categorizes its treasure is greatly influenced by its personality. The first treasure category is tools, which is any item that can be used as personal gear like magic rings or cloaks. The second are gifts, which are unique items that are unusable by the beholder, but might make a minion better equipped to defend the lair, like a pair of magical boots. The third category is hazards, such as cursed or dangerous items that can be repurposed into traps or obstacles. The fourth are trophies. These cherished treasure pieces remind the beholder of their power and victory over enemies. The final category is clutter. These treasure items hold intrinsic value but aren't immediately useful to a beholder or its minions, like currency or jewelry. Some beholders choose to take on servants, often through duress or charm. They use these servants to guard their treasure, help ensure their own personal safety, or as a means to implementing their plans to carry destruction to all other life they encounter. They tend to favor gargoyles and other intelligent creatures for such uses. In fact, a rival, like a skilled group of adventurers who prove themselves to be an exceptional challenger, may earn a small measure of respect from the beholder. And by respect, I mean that the beholder might be merciful and only pacify the creatures with a charm or sleep ray instead of outright killing them. But the true intent of the beholder is then to interrogate, subjugate, and offer them a role as one of the beholder's servants once their will has been broken. If the subjects refuse to serve as a guard, spy, or assassin against another rival, the beholder will force them to serve under a charm at best, or disintegrate them at worst. There are 3 primary types of beholders: solitary, hive, and death tyrant. The most common are the solitary beholders, which primarily exhibit the characteristics we just went through. They live apart from others, lair within cave systems or ruined structures, and they gather inferior creatures as their minions. A type of solitary beholder that has suppressed its xenophobia is known as an eye tyrant. These beholders choose to live as the leader or ruler of a community or an organization that includes other creatures. Xanathar is an eye tyrant. A rare type of beholder is the hive variety. This case arises when a beholder experiences a dream in which it sees itself in a mirror or imagines a sensation akin to multiple personalities. The beholder will dream birth these copies of itself into existence. Upon awakening, the beholder views these newborns as extensions of its own self and therefore isn't consumed by an urge to kill them. The identical group of beholders doesn't have a hive mind, but their personalities and goals are so similar that they can predict and assume each other's thoughts. The original beholder is usually the dominant one. The final type of beholder is the death tyrant. This type of beholder tends to evolve from an older beholder who spent a lot of time worrying about its mortality. In such, its dreams tend to reach into odd corners of reality, and the beholder imagines it can live on after death. The beholder awakens transformed and exists in a state of undeath, yet it fears being killed still. Once a year, a beholder will lay a clutch of 1 to 4 eggs. The eggs are expelled from an internal organ and then spit from the beholder's mouth. Each egg is white, has a leathery texture, and is about a foot in diameter. The laying of the eggs is instinctive, but the beholder actively chooses the site where the eggs will be left. These sites tend to be far from their lair and high up on a rocky, desolate spot. Once laid, the eggs are left alone to their fate. Most are purposefully destroyed by various humanoid races. After the eggs incubate, anywhere from 2 to 12 months, they will swell in size to about 3 feet across before a younger beholder suddenly breaks free. Immediately, the youngling has all the powers of its adult counterpart, just a bit less powerful. Within a year's time, it will grow to be just as dangerous. The lifespan of beholders is unknown, but a certain known specimen has lived for at least 900 years. When it comes to battle, a beholder analyzes all aspects of its opponents and adjusts its strategy to eliminate the biggest threat first. A beholder always makes use of its levitating ability by staying out of range and sight and arming its lair with floor traps. A beholder rarely leaves its lair, but will generally secure a 1-mile radius around its lair. A beholder may venture outside to forestall the advance of threats, go after a particularly enticing trophy, or to capture a new pack of minions. And that wraps up our brief overview on the beholder. If you want to learn more, I recommend Volo's Guide to Monsters as a great starting place. What's your favorite fact about beholders? What monster would you like to learn about next? Be sure to leave a comment below. If you're looking for more monster lore right now, be sure to check out our Hag and Purple Worm videos. Until next time, may the dice odds be in your favor.